It's September day 9, and today I'm going to show you how to make the best crockpot chicken quinoa soup. Hi friends, my name's Christina. I'm with eatingonadime.com. Welcome to my sister Carrie's kitchen. My sister Carrie and I are on a mission, and Samson too, this is Samson right here, to teach real families how to make real food at home on a budget. And we are doing a fun series to kick off September, and it's called Souptember, where we show you how to make the easiest and the best soup recipes. And if you love soups as much as we do, you can get a whole month of soup recipes right to your inbox. We have a sign up link in the description below, so make sure you check that out. Today, we are making crockpot chicken quinoa soup. It's kind of like chicken noodle soup, but instead of noodles, it's made with quinoa, which is a little bit healthier of a grain, and the flavor is all there, so it tastes amazing as well. And my favorite part is that it all cooks in the crock pot. You guys are going to love this one. Now, I have linked the recipe in the description below, so you don't have to worry about writing everything down. We've already done it for you. All right, let's get cooking. Today's recipe is made in a crock pot. I am using the beautiful crock pot from Walmart. It's in the Drew Barrymore line. It's technically a multi-cooker, so it does more features than just slow cook, but it works great. This is linked below, as well as a post we've made with all of our favorite crock pots. So if you're in the market for a new one, check that out below. So first thing we need for chicken quinoa soup is, of course, you guessed it, chicken. So you want some, I like to use chicken breast. Now you can use boneless chicken thighs if you prefer. You want 2 or 3 pieces depending on how big they are. Mine were kind of smaller, so I'm doing 3 pieces today. I'm going to cut them into larger pieces just so that it cooks quicker in the crock pot. I'm just using my tongs today to make it quick. Since they're smaller, I'm just quartering them, cutting in four pieces each, and we're going to throw them right into the crock pot. Now, the size of your crock pot depends on how much soup you're making. For one serving, you need at least a 6-quart crock pot for it to all fit in there well. And that's what I'm using today. I would recommend that you use a 6 or 8-quart crock pot. Once they're diced into large pieces, just throw them right into the crock pot. And now it's time to get the veggies ready. So just like a traditional chicken noodle soup, this chicken quinoa soup is packed full of veggies as well. And I'm going to cheat. I don't know if it's cheating. It's just a little shortcut, and use our veggie chopper that we love. If you've been following us for a while, you know we're obsessed with that. First, we need 1/2 of an onion. Let me move this out of the way so you guys can see. I'm using a yellow onion today. You can use white. That would work great as well. Get that out of here. Go ahead and cut off the ends and peel the onion. We just need 1/2 for this recipe. Save the other 1/2 for another recipe, another soup that you're going to do this month, right, friends? Because it's Souptember. And then when I use the veggie choppers for onions, I always cut the halves in half again, so quarter them. Then you get your handy dandy chopper, press them in, and they chop beautifully every single time. And now let's do the celery. We're going to do the same thing. Cut off the gross looking ends. And then on celery, you just want to cut the pieces big enough to fit into the chopper so that it chops finely. It's a little bit easier because you don't have to dice it smaller. This I'm going to cut in thirds, and I think it'll fit perfectly. Then I just line it up on top and chop. Celery was giving me a hard time, but don't worry, friends. I got it. It's chopped up. Then once all your veggies are chopped and in the chopper, just add it straight to the crock pot. Now it's time for some carrots. I can't talk today. We're going to use 3 carrots. They're already peeled. Now I like to dice these up with my knife as opposed to my chopper, just because they're a little bit harder and they can get stuck in the chopper a little bit easier. So first, cut off the ends of the carrots. And then on each carrot, what I like to do is cut them in half lengthwise, and then lay both of those flat, and then cut each of those in half again. And this makes them where they're nice and small and diced. So when you put them in your soup, The goal is for it to fit on the end of a spoon. So you don't want like a super chunky soup. You want it to be like easy to eat and consume. So then we're just going to chop it up from there. And it makes perfectly diced carrots every single time. So here's the second one. We're just going to cut it in half lengthwise and then lay it flat, cut side down. Cut each of those in half again. And then I bunch them together just so it's easier, and then dice it from there. And when you're dicing, make sure to use this thick part of the knife because that's what's going to give the most pressure and weight, and chop it up real quick for you. Then add the carrots to the crock pot. And the last thing to chop is some fresh parsley. Now, when I do fresh herbs, I either use a large knife like today, you guys know our favorite knife that we love, or I like to use like a rock and chop if you have one of those. My sister doesn't have one, but what I do is I just take it and kind of get the leaves off first. Fresh parsley is really delicious in a nice soup, so that's why we're using fresh today. You could use dried if you want. We're going to do about 2 tablespoons fresh. If you're using dried, I would probably just do a teaspoon of dried just because it's a little bit more potent and it shrinks down once it's dried out. Once you get the leaves off, just bunch it together and hold it together and then run your knife through it. I just kind of keep the end down and then lift up this big fat part that'll chop up your parsley or your fresh herb. And you can always hold one side down with your hand, and that kind of helps as well. So you want to go one way and then I turn it and then I go the other way as well to get it nice and chopped. Once it's chopped, just measure out 2 tablespoons and add that to your crock pot as well. Then I'm going to save the rest of this for a little topping when we're serving this soup. Now for the garlic. Can't have an amazing soup without garlic. I'm going to add a tablespoon of pre-minced jarred garlic because I'm lazy, friends. You can mince your own garlic. If you're wanting to mince your own, do about 3 or 4 cloves minced, and that will work great. And then 2 teaspoons dried oregano. Add it right to the crock pot with your veggies and your chicken. And 2 teaspoons dried basil. I love these seasoning containers my sister has. Of course, they're linked below for you guys if you're needing some new seasoning containers. Need a teaspoon of pepper and a teaspoon of salt. And then this is optional, but I recommend it, just a 1/4 teaspoon of crushed red pepper flakes. It's going to give it just a nice little kick, but it's not enough to give it like a ton of heat, and it's going to add a ton of flavor. Then add in 2 bay leaves for while it's cooking. Now we are going to remove these before we serve it, but you want to add it in for the flavor. Now let's talk quinoa. So this is a chicken quinoa soup. So instead of noodles, it has quinoa in it, which is another type of grain. Now the secret to get the best flavor from your quinoa is to rinse it, but it can be tricky because it's super small when it's not cooked. It will poof up a little bit when it's cooked. So to rinse it, I just put it in a bowl and then run water through it and then drain that excess water off. So I just keep it in a bowl and then run some water in it and then use my hands to kind of rinse it around. And we'll stop that. Just kind of get any of that excess starch off of it so that when it cooks up, it gets nice and soft. Now, when I drain off this water, I just use my hands to keep the quinoa from falling out of the bowl. This is about a cup of quinoa. I forgot to say that. If you have a little bit of water left, it's okay because it's a soup. Don't stress out about it too much, but it is going to help it cook up nice and tender in the crock pot. Then add 2 cups of broth, or not broth, water, sorry, 2 cups broth and 4 cups chicken broth. Now, you can do all chicken broth if you would like. We just do 1 carton, 32 ounces, and the rest water just to kind of save money a little bit. It helps out. And I do not recommend using all water because the chicken broth adds a lot of flavor to the soup. You can use water with chicken bouillon cubes if you prefer to cook with that instead. And that's it. Cover your crock pot and turn it on. You can cook it on low for about 6 to 7 hours or on high for about 3 to 4 until that chicken is nice and tender and shreds easily. Just because I want to show you guys what this looks like. I'm cooking this on high today. Let's get it turned on. There we go. All right, high for 3 hours. Since we diced up that chicken, I think that's going to be the perfect amount of time to make it nice and tender. All right, She is on. I will see you in a few hours. It's been cooking for about 3.5 hours on high, and it is ready. I love the steam shot. So what you want to do now is you want to kind of check it. And what I do is grab like a fork or tongs or something, and then just grab a piece of chicken and see if it shreds easily. I've already done that, and it does. And that's how you know it is ready. The longer chicken cooks in the crock pot, the more tender and easily it should be to shred. So if it's not quite shredding easily, like with just 2 forks like this, then it just needs to cook a little bit longer. But 3-4 hours on high or 6 hours on low is perfect. Okay, now we're going to get all of this chicken out and get it shredded up. So just take 2 forks and it should shred easily. Just get it nice. And if it's too big and long, you can always take your fork and kind of cut it like that, because you do want it to be small enough to fit on a spoon. Before adding the chicken back into the crock pot, make sure you get out those bay leaves. There's one. I think there was 2, right guys? Sometimes I just kind of toss it till I see it and it pops up. And I found the other one. It was hiding, but don't worry, I got it. All right, bay leaves out, chicken in. And then just stir the chicken back in. I know it's not the prettiest soup out there, but it has great flavor and it's a little bit healthier than a traditional chicken noodle soup. So you get that benefit as well. Now it's time for my favorite part, serving it up. Now, I find this soup to be very filling, so I wouldn't worry about sides. You can maybe do a little roll or a little bread, but it's very filling. That quinoa fills you up quickly. Ooh, I cannot wait. And of course, I have my leftover fresh parsley, and I'm going to put some on top just to make it nice and pretty. Time for the best part, taste testing. My favorite part is that it tastes just like a chicken noodle soup. It's amazing, delicious, but then you have that healthier grain in there. So you get all the health benefits without sacrificing the flavor. Thank you so much for joining me today in my sister Carrie's kitchen. I hope that you guys try this recipe and then let me know in the comments what you think about it. And don't forget, it's Souptember. So if you love today's recipe, make sure you sign up for all of our Souptember soups so you can make soup all fall long. All right, friends, I am out of here. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you never miss a recipe. And if you've enjoyed this Souptember series, please let me know in the comments below. All right, I gotta go. It's dinner time. Thanks so much for joining me, and I will see you next time. And until then, remember, eat at home by eating on a dime. Bye, friends.